Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome. Hi, I am Matt Lockman from the Institute of Sex Positive Therapy. And this
Yes,
is,
and I'm Julie Labanz from the same ISPT.
yes, and we wanted to start doing these fun little videos, just these gab sessions between us two, just to sort of get in the mind of two ASEX certified sex therapists.
Yeah, seems like it'd be really fun just to like hit on topics that we know that folks ask about a lot, that we know that you're curious about too. So just some quick background on us. I own Be Known, which is a sex and relationship therapy practice in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then of course, Matt and I co-own the Institute for Sex Positive Therapy, where we train other clinicians on all fun things sex therapy.
Yeah, and I own Cleveland Sex Therapy in Cleveland, Ohio. And Julie and I actually met during our ASEC certification training, and we just clicked immediately, and it's been love at first sex conversation ever since. So,
Feels right. Love it.
yeah, we just wanted these videos to just be an informal way for you to get to know us a little bit more. This is sort of how we act. This is how we are, just on a general basis, and it's going to be pretty informal. But the topics that we explore in here are going to be everything just sex related that you may be curious about.
Yeah, fun stuff. So
Yeah,
we shall dive on into our
yes.
first one. So I figured we could start with five pieces of wisdom from sex therapists because I think that's just such a helpful like primer conversation. Like these are things that at least Matt, you and I, we feel like every sex therapist
Oh
should live
yeah,
by and that every person we hope would live by. So yeah,
totally.
kick us
Yeah,
off.
I think this is, I tell my clients, if there's anything that you remember from the sessions, it's these sort of five topics, right? If they show up in the session. And these are sort of, the wisdom that were passed on to us through our training. And it's just a way to live a sex positive lifestyle. And so I think the first one that I'm going to talk about that comes up pretty frequently is the idea that anything that takes place between two or more consenting adults is their business, right? So, Julie, what do you think about that?
I freaking love it because there are
Mhm.
so many activities, actions, whatever out there that people love, and people don't think about the fact that, like, as long as we're both good with it, why is it anybody else's business? Why should anybody else care? Like,
Yeah,
if you really like to sit on cakes and want your partner to lick it off your bum, like, who
do
cares?
it.
Why is
Yeah.
it a problem for anybody else? Like it's nobody else's business. And I think that's why I really love that.
Yeah, it's just one of my favorites, right? There's so many people in this world who feel immense shame, and then through that shame they create this judgment towards other people, right? And just being able to sit with clients and talk to them about, right, like your partner may want to sit on cakes, and let's talk about that, right? And also, we're consenting to all of this, so why is it causing any ruckus or any problems for the people who aren't involved in it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that can stem from like religious shame of, a lot of, and just our culture is taught that like sex only looks a specific way. It's penis and vagina, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And that's what sex is. And so, yeah, it helps to dismantle, hey, like, this like sex doesn't have to just be this specific script. Like as long as
Nope.
you're both good with it, if you're both enjoying it, like why not? Like explore it,
Totally,
figure it out, mess around a little bit. So
totally. Julie, what would be another one that you enjoy?
yes. So what follows that I feel like is don't yuck someone's yum.
Yes, 100%. Just, our world is so kinky. We are all so kinky, right? All of
Oh,
us, even the most vanilla of us, right? There's just this idea of sexual fluidity, fantasy play, what you're into will just cross the entire spectrum, right?
hmm
And because of that, we can run into people who are totally on board with it. And we can run into people who are like, whoa, water sports, never heard of that. Don't know if I want to engage with that. What are you even talking about? Oh my God, that's gross, right? And that grossness, again, comes from a little bit of what Julie was just talking about, this it's the sex negativity that exists in this world, right? We're not taught to engage with ourselves, right? Purity culture, sex negativity, right? Internalized heteronormativity, all of this stuff just sits on us and makes us want to push away from sexuality and also attack, right? And just go into it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why, it's so important to not yuck someone's yum because you never know, like something that sounds gross to you right now, as you like learn about yourself sexually, you might be like, oh wait, actually, that
Mm,
actually sounds kind of interesting now.
right.
And if I have this happen all the time with clients, like somebody will be like, ew, and then the other partner is like, I feel so gross. I feel like I can't talk to my partner about things I'm interested in. I think that they're gonna think I'm a freak, all this stuff
Hmm.
that inhibits connection versus if you're just curious with your partner of like, okay, like tell me why you're into that. Like what is it about that like feels spicy for you? Like that curiosity makes the world of a difference. And you might try things you never thought you would have just by being a little bit more open to it.
Yeah,
Um,
and I just find when we can provide that space for clients to just sit there and for them to realize like, okay, I'm safe, right? I can be vulnerable. I can tell this person about all of these thoughts that I have. It just does such a world of good, and it helps them start to believe that idea of don't yucking somebody else's yum.
love it.
So
Yes. All right, hit us with another one.
So these next two are sort of similar, but we'll talk about the difference between them. I'm going to start with the idea that penetration is overrated, right? So, Julie, how talk to me about how this sits with you in your life?
Yeah, I mean, like as I was alluding to before, I feel like a lot of times we learn growing up, like penis and vagina sex is the only sex that's out there, and that's the only way that everyone should be having orgasms. When in
Hmm.
reality, there are so many other fun, exciting ways to achieve orgasm. Plus, most vulva vagina owners are not going to have an orgasm from penetration alone. They're going to need some clitoral stimulation. So the fact that we make penetration to be this whole big thing, I'm like, there's so much other fun stuff you can do without any sort of insertion of any kind. So,
Yeah, like get over it in some way, right? It's like this idea of we can get trapped in this routine, right? This idea of okay, we're starting this way. I'm going to touch your breast. I'm going to touch your chest. Now I'm going to move to your genitals. And now we may engage in some oral play. And okay, here we go. You know, especially when we're talking about heteronormative couples, right? Penis now enters vagina. And there we are. We're in missionary or, reverse cowgirl or whatever these fun phrases are. But it's this idea that the penetrative piece of sex should be the majority of it, right? We're not having sex if we are not penetrating at all, right? And as a member of the queer community, I'll give it to our queer community friends, right? They have learned this way before, the straight people have, right? This idea that nothing needs to be inserted anywhere for it to be a pleasurable experience. And that's
yeah,
what we pass on to our clients.
yeah, fun, spicy. There's so much stuff, yeah, that we can
Yeah.
just, we don't need to stick to one specific script. And it excludes so many people, so many body types, all of that. Like,
Uh,
get that out of your head that you feel like you have to be penetrative in order for sex to be pleasurable.
nope. No, you don't.
Yeah, at the same time, our other one of our other tips, number 4 out of 5, orgasms are overrated. Same thing. I mean, I think
Yeah.
folks make orgasms out to just be the end all be all. So speak to it a little
Yeah.
bit.
And I'll be honest, I feel like this is, if I had to rank 1 to 5 on what I talk about most, this would be closer to the top in some way because the pressure that we feel like if we just look at gender norms or gender expression or gender roles, that's the word I'm looking for, right? The toxic masculinity that sits on penis owners, this passive femininity and purity culture that can sit on vulva owners, right? Is just forcing all of this into the idea that the orgasm is a requirement for sex to be successful. And what I talk to clients about is I say the orgasm is 5% of the entire sexual experience that you're having. Is it a good 5%? Of course it is. It's a great 5%. We're releasing dopamine, we're releasing all these fun chemicals. It's feeling so good. But it is 5% of it. What are we doing that other 95%? Are we being mindful? Are we staying in touch with our bodies? Are we enjoying what's happening, right? If we are focusing too much on the orgasm, we're losing what we're trying to do. And sex becomes more about quantity than quality.
Yeah, it becomes transactional of like, I'm just trying to get to this point versus connection versus exploration versus building up arousal and playfulness and all of that. Yes, I think that's why orgasms can be so overrated when it comes to sex because it discounts so much of the experience that we can just lose out on connecting present by being too focused on those. Yeah.
Exactly. So penetration overrated, orgasm overrated. Okay, our last tip that we sort of live by as ASEX certified sex therapists is we call it this idea that sex is for you, right? So Julie, how does this sort of live and show up for you in the work that you do?
Yeah, because I feel like so often we're hyper focused on our partner and their experience. Are they feeling okay? Are they enjoying this? Is this going well for them? And I will say that is not true for everybody. There are some folks who come in and they're just focused on their own pleasurable experience, and that's an issue in of itself. But a lot of us are very focused on the other person, like, is this going going okay? And when we do that, we stop being present in the moment and we start, overanalyzing, and that can cause a lot of different types of sexual challenges, like a loss of erection or just difficulty orgasming, because you're so focused on their pleasure. So if we can lean back a little bit from that and realize that this is also very much about you. And if you are enjoying yourself, having a good time, focusing on like, where's my pleasure going, it's going to help your partner to follow and stay in the present moment too.
100%. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Whenever I talk about this topic with clients, or really anyone, I always turn it inward and go back to one of the purest forms of sex that we have with ourselves, which is masturbation, right? I sit there and I say, when we learn masturbation, right, it's this exploratory period where we are figuring out our body, and all of a sudden we're touching our genitals, or we're touching our nipples, or we're playing around, and we're like, what are these sensations? Oh my gosh, this can feel so good, right? And while we're engaging with it, it's feeling good and we're learning our bodies. And then what happens is all of this stuff that we've talked about, right? Sex negativity, toxic relationship styles, purity culture, all this stuff comes into play. And the moment somebody enters the picture, it's not about us anymore. We sort of lose this intention on us, right? I tell clients, when you are sitting there masturbating, you're not thinking, God, I hope my partner's enjoying this right now, right? No, you're thinking, I want to enjoy this. So when we can take that mentality, right, in a non-selfish way, because this isn't selfish, right? In a way of going in and thinking, how can I enjoy this experience? It will limit so much pressure that you are feeling in trying to perform or creating expectations. Because what will show up for you and your partner in those situations is what? Active communication. You will start expressing your wants and desires. They will start expressing their wants and desires, and we will create this dynamic of satisfaction and sustainability.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're so much more connected. Hopefully, you're a lot more present, that the experience is just overall positive. So, yeah. Oh, good. Okay. I'm going to try to say them all, remember them all. So, yum. Whatever on between two or more consenting adults is their business only. Orgasms are overrated. Penetration is overrated. And what did we just
Sex is for you.
I was like,
Yes.
I'm going to forget one just because I'm going to be too in my head about it.
Right.
Yeah. So these
Yeah.
are words of wisdom to live by. I love those.